Bengals fans, something significant is happening as Cincinnati officially gets into the heart of OTAs, and while there are several storylines developing around the team right now, one major piece of news is creating a lot of conversation and a lot of excitement around the fan base. At the same time, there are contract situations being monitored, important attendance updates from key players, and a growing sense that this offseason is starting to reveal some of the challenges and opportunities that could shape the months ahead. Before we get into everything, make sure you're subscribed and staying connected, because this is exactly the time of year when small developments can quickly become major stories. Every OTA report, every contract update, and every roster move matters. Now, let's get to what really matters. For years, one of the biggest headaches the Bengals had to deal with inside the AFC North was lining up against Myles Garrett twice every season. Whether the games were played at home or on the road, Garrett was always one of the first names Cincinnati had to account for before kickoff. According to the discussion surrounding the start of OTAs, that chapter has now come to an end after Garrett was traded from Cleveland to Los Angeles. The reaction from many Bengals observers has been immediate: relief, excitement, and maybe even a little celebration. Garrett wasn't just another defensive player in the division. He was repeatedly described as a player who created problems every single time Cincinnati faced Cleveland. His reputation wasn't built on hype alone. The awards, production, and impact all supported it. He was a two-time Defensive Player of the Year and a player who consistently demanded extra attention whenever he stepped onto the field. What made Garrett particularly frustrating from Cincinnati's perspective was the way he seemed to influence games against the Bengals regardless of circumstances. Even when Cleveland dealt with issues elsewhere on its roster, Garrett remained capable of changing the outcome through his ability to disrupt the quarterback and dominate offensive lines. That is why this trade feels different. This is not a situation where a division rival simply lost a rotational player. This is a player Bengals fans have spent years watching create chaos in the backfield. Now he is gone. And more importantly for Cincinnati, he is no longer a player they are expected to see twice every season. Of course, that doesn't mean Cleveland walked away empty-handed. The discussion around the trade pointed out that the Browns received significant compensation, including draft capital and a young edge rusher in Jared Verse. The view presented was that Cleveland didn't simply surrender a star player and begin rebuilding. Instead, they acquired a player who can contribute immediately while also adding future assets. Verse was highlighted as a talented young defender who has already established himself early in his NFL career. While comparisons to Garrett naturally favor the proven veteran, the expectation is that Bengals fans will quickly become familiar with Verse because he is expected to play an important role for Cleveland moving forward. So while Cincinnati can celebrate Garrett leaving the division matchup schedule, there is also recognition that another talented pass rusher is entering the picture. That leads directly into the next major storyline surrounding Cincinnati as OTAs continue. The contract situation involving rookie defender Shemar Stewart remains unresolved. Despite not having a finalized contract, Stewart has continued participating in team activities. According to the information discussed, he has attended rookie minicamp, voluntary workouts, and OTA activities while operating under an injury waiver. That detail matters. In today's NFL environment, contract disputes can quickly escalate into holdouts and missed development opportunities. Instead, Stewart has remained present and active around the team while negotiations continue. His comments from early May were particularly revealing. Rather than expressing frustration, he emphasized that he loves football and enjoys being on the field whenever possible. His focus appeared centered on playing the game, rather than allowing the contract process to become a distraction. At the same time, there is understandable curiosity surrounding why a deal has not yet been completed. The discussion noted that players selected around Stewart's draft position have already signed contracts. The broader issue appears connected to guaranteed money, an area that has become increasingly important for second-round picks across the league. According to the report, negotiations are believed to be focused on the percentage of guaranteed money included in the deal. The projected value referenced was approximately 4 years and $12 million, with the debate centering on how much of that amount should be fully guaranteed. For now, the overall tone surrounding the situation is more curiosity than concern. Why? Because Stewart is still participating. He is still working. He is still around the team. That creates a very different atmosphere compared to situations where players choose to stay away completely during negotiations. As OTAs officially opened, another topic that generated attention involved one of the biggest stars on the roster. Ja'Marr Chase is in attendance. For many fans, this may not have been a major surprise. Others had spent weeks speculating about whether his absence from certain voluntary activities should be viewed as a concern. The update delivered during OTA week appears to have answered those questions. Chase showed up as the Bengals officially began OTA work. The significance isn't necessarily about physical conditioning. The discussion specifically referenced Chase's confidence in his own training routine and his understanding of how to prepare himself. The point was simple. He knows what he needs to do to stay ready. Still, there is something reassuring about seeing a franchise cornerstone back in the building, seeing him on the practice field, seeing him involved with teammates, seeing one of the faces of the organization officially participating as preparations for the upcoming season continue. That wasn't the only attendance update that caught attention. Veteran quarterback Joe Flacco was also discussed as being present after recently signing his new contract. The conversation acknowledged that Flacco's personal situation and living arrangements could have easily explained earlier absences from voluntary activities, making his appearance at OTAs another positive development for the organization. Meanwhile, defensive back DJ Turner generated his own share of discussion. Turner attended OTAs despite ongoing conversations about his future and the possibility of a contract extension. According to the report, there had been concern that Turner could potentially become a holdout candidate given his desire for a new deal and the ongoing dialogue surrounding his contract situation. Instead, he showed up. That matters. Players seeking extensions sometimes choose different approaches. Turner being present sends a positive message and allows him to continue building on what was described as a strong 2025 season. And that brings us to one of the larger organizational questions emerging from these OTA discussions. Who should be next in line for contract extensions? Several names were mentioned as players whose futures deserve monitoring. Chase Brown was identified as a candidate. DJ Turner was identified as a candidate. Dax Hill was mentioned. Dalton Risner was also included among players whose performances have created conversations about long-term commitments. The reality is that successful teams eventually face difficult decisions. Players perform well. Their value rises. The front office must determine who fits into the future and who receives the financial commitment necessary to stay in Cincinnati. Those decisions are rarely simple, but they are becoming increasingly relevant as OTAs begin and attention gradually shifts toward training camp. What stands out most from all of these developments is the balance between excitement and unfinished business. The excitement comes from seeing Ja'Marr Chase on the field. The excitement comes from seeing important veterans report. The excitement comes from watching OTAs officially begin. And yes, for many Bengals fans, the excitement also comes from knowing that Myles Garrett is no longer waiting on the other side of the AFC North schedule twice every season. At the same time, there is unfinished business. Ja'Marr Stewart still needs a contract. Extension decisions remain ahead. Roster battles are only beginning, and the true evaluation period for this team is just getting started. For now, though, the opening days of OTAs have delivered plenty for Bengals fans to talk about. A longtime divisional nightmare has moved to another conference rival. Key stars are showing up and getting to work. Young players are participating despite ongoing negotiations, and the organization is beginning another important stage of preparation for the season ahead. Now, I want to hear from you. How much of a difference do you think Myles Garrett leaving the division will make for Cincinnati? Are you concerned at all about Shamar Stewart's unsigned contract, or do you believe it will be resolved soon? And which player do you think should be the Bengals' next priority for a contract extension? Now, I want to hear from you, Bengals Nation. How are you feeling about all these developments? Are you celebrating the fact that Myles Garrett is finally out of the AFC North? Are you worried at all about Shamar Stewart still not having his contract signed? And which player do you think deserves the next big extension from Cincinnati? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this is one of the most important conversations surrounding the team right now. If you enjoyed this update, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss any breaking Bengals news throughout the off-season. We've got training camp updates, roster battles, contract news, and everything happening inside Cincinnati covered for you. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and, as always, Hoo Day.